Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aquarius energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Aquarius energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy. We've all got our dualistic nature within us, and there could be a part of us, that would like to move forward in life differently, having a little more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in our dreams and in love. And then there, can be a part of us that our fear or insecurity or whatever kind of gets us up in our head. And so some people could be battling within themselves right now in their free will nature of what is their dream? What is their truth? Are they willing to take action on their truth? Are they willing to speak their truth? Do they believe in their dreams? Aquarius energy is represented by the star card, so it can kind of be a battle between being caught up in the more worldly dream of, I want these things of the world and these things are the most important thing, or kind of looking at life from a higher perspective, keeping things in perspective. So, and then there's other people that are moving forward in a more high vibrational way than they were before, and then they might not live their life a certain way like they used to, or hang out with certain people, or stay in a certain job. And while they're moving forward, some other, life's about learning lessons, and the truth sets us free. And we all learn lessons at different stages of life. So hopefully, high vibe energy would be that you understand, because you've been there, why people kind of do what they do. And, it's just like, are we going to get mad at a 15 or an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old for acting like a 15 or 18 or 21-year-old? No, we acted like that when we were that age too, but now we're 35 or 45 or 55. And if we're hanging out with someone who's kind of acting like immature, we might not want to hang out with them as much, because we would have thought they'd learned those lessons by now. Let's go look at the top row first. The reason for the top row is the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups can talk about, it's the reason why the reading came out. And the Five of Cups is Scorpio energy. And in high vibe, Scorpio energy within all of us wants to be in deep, meaningful relationships. And we've worked with people who maybe were more superficial and shallow, more immature, more manipulative, didn't work with us cooperatively. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Fool card. Again, could be people who are more motivated still just to be in relationships, to be in a relationship, but not really a deep, meaningful relationship, or they're more about themselves or the world, or just got some growing up and healing to do. And then in this Five of Cups, the person is kind of looking towards the light. Maybe also could be like the moon, kind of listening to your intuition and your dreams. And then it also kind of reminds me, because there's another card in a different deck, which is Capricorn energy, which is about freeing ourselves from things that manipulate us. Things within ourselves and people in our life, because shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. All of us have our more shadowy nature. We all know people who are more shadowy, unjust, unfair, unloving, unkind, not aligned with truth and love or something. And it takes work and effort to free ourselves from those things that manipulate us. And then I view high vibe Capricorn as like the King of Pentacles, where you've learned lessons in life and you're more stable and grounded within yourself and have learned to love and believe in yourself. And so some people right now could just be in the process of, should I keep repeating an old pattern? I've kind of been there and I've done that. Did I learn the lessons I was meant to learn from it? That basically, if I'm more motivated and inspired by pride, ego, lust, greed, not really operating from authenticity and love, I'm not planting good seeds. And there's all sorts of people who are willing to be in relationships with us if we're operating in our shadowy energy. And so then some people could be thinking about maybe I should put in some work and effort to work through my regrets of the past, because the shadowy road can be that we're kind of looking for a quick fix to make us feel better. But, it's kind of like indulging in something to feel better, but the devil lies, and those things really don't long term make us feel better. And we have to put in work and effort to heal from past pain and heartbreak and things like that, and to learn the lessons we were meant to learn so we can move forward in life differently. And some people have already went through that process and they are moving forward. It's just some people could be at the beginning stages, some people are already in the midst of it. So in the top row, we have the Judgment card. And then the Dolphin card. And the Dolphin card can be about, having that more hopeful, believing, playful spirit about you. And you have to call judgment and hold yourself and other people accountable for their actions. And that can be why some people won't move forward with you if you move forward, because they don't want to take accountability for their actions. I want to maybe live my life the way I live it, and I might have already made a judgment that I don't want to deal with my past pain and heartbreak. I don't want to put in work and effort to free myself from things that might manipulate me. And so high vibe people have to decide to deal with the truth. If there's people repeating old patterns and they don't want to put in work and effort to move forward in life any differently, they have the free will to do that. But if I've already been doing that and at that job, friendship, or relationship, and I'm kind of sad and I feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love, well then I have to hold myself and other people accountable and accept the truth that, we're at different places in our life. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is about investing in the truth, emotionally investing in yourself to heal and grow and mature yourself. The masculine energies can represent how we're presenting ourselves in the world and the action that we're taking. And the feminine figures can represent how we think and feel. There could be people who wanted to be in a certain job. That job didn't work out. They were in friendships or relationships or married to certain people or wanted to be married to certain people, because the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck. But the Queen of Pentacles can just mean you're an emotionally nurturing person and you like to be in emotionally nurturing, deep, meaningful relationships, and you're in relationships with some people who might be kind of immature or bossy or controlling or something, or don't want to hold themselves accountable, right? So we do that inner work to love and believe in ourselves. And then we have the Two of Swords, which can be about, it's Libra energy, about getting balance within yourself and also listening to your intuition to guide you instead of your fear or your insecurity or your pride or your ego or your lust or your greed. And then we have the Five of Wands. Investing time, energy, and effort to listen to our intuition about our own inner conflict, about why do I have a problem about calling judgment on an old way of living life that made me sad anyway, But part of it is that, we'd all like things that we've worked on to work out the way we want them to work out, But the thing is, the fives talk about change. The only person I can change is me. And if I've been in a job, friendship, relationship, marriage, wanted to marry someone, and they keep repeating old patterns, or, and they don't want to listen to their intuition, aren't inspired to change the foundation that they operate from, their truth of how they view life or how they view relationships and what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into. They're doing what they think is just and fair and what maybe makes them feel more balanced and stable within themselves. And we're all ready to deal with that inner conflict and to deal with change. And high vibe people have done that work within themselves to work through their inner conflict, to work through feeling stuck. And then we have the Nine of Wands. So the difference between the Five of Wands and the Nine of Wands is the Four of Wands, which is also Aries energy, things that we were motivated and inspired by, and a foundation that we used to operate from, a way of living life, a way of viewing life, things that motivated and inspired us at one time that we used to want to invest our time, energy, and effort into. But as we could have invested our time, energy, and effort into those, it could have been a journey we were on, which is what the Fool card talks about. We go on these journeys in life. We go live life. We come in contact with all these different people. And it's all to help us get clear about more about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And we could feel if we keep deciding to keep moving forward in that we are kind of turning our back on listening to our intuition, that we might keep investing in that because we have inner conflict about standing up for ourselves and standing up to our own fear and insecurity and pride and ego and immature, indulgent nature, and we might have a problem standing up to other people in our life. And then high vibe people don't like feeling like the reason they do what they do and the relationships they stay in or the jobs they stay in or is more out of defensiveness or ego or inner conflict, They want to feel more balanced within themselves. I don't like feeling out of balance. I don't like having this inner conflict. I don't like feeling defensive. I don't like being in relationships with other people who I might be in relationship with that want me to keep moving forward with them. But they could stay in denial of the truth. They could be very competitive or have a lot of inner conflict that they're defensive to dealing with. If people aren't willing to invest, that's what the Queen of Pentacles talks about, to emotionally invest in getting more balance within themselves, being more balanced, offsetting their fearful, prideful, or insecure nature or immature nature with their more hopeful, believing, loving, mature nature, to change and have good boundaries within themselves to their own more immature, egoic nature and other people in their life that might try to manipulate them. As long as we stay in a relationship or at that job or in that friendship group or whatever, as long as those people are manipulated by those things, we end up having to let those things kind of manipulate us also, even though some of those things aren't things that manipulate us. Like some people are kind of more about themselves. And they get in relationships with people who are more balanced and have better boundaries within themselves, where they're not more about themselves. And so they're not being kind of more immature or more worldly focused or ego focused or more invested in wanting to, the Queen of Pentacles can just be these things that we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into because we're sure they're going to make us happy. Or those things will make us happy if we invest in those things or, drink those things, eat those things, hang out with those people or whatever. And other people, they're like, I maybe already have been there and done that. And I don't feel the need to keep investing in making my life about those things. Or they don't have the hold on me like they used to have a hold on me. And I am more balanced within myself. The fives can also talk about that kind of, again, what motivates and inspires you now could be different than what used to drive and motivate you before. We could all have been more motivated and inspired by the world. And eventually, probably as some people live their life, they're not as motivated and inspired to go indulge in those things of the world. They might have been when they were younger, but other people still are. It doesn't matter how old they are. I still want to make my life about those things, indulge in those things. I think that makes me look like a certain type of person, have a certain type of status or image or whatever, right? And other people have kind of detached from that foundation. You know, I used to think that was just and fair, but I could have done that, and it kind of caused me some inner conflict and could have made me feel like I wasn't moving forward in my life and I have a dream. And if I keep indulging in making those things more of a priority instead of standing up to my more immature, worldly, indulgent nature, I feel like I'm going to miss out on kind of growing to my full potential and investing in my own unique talent, skills, or interest, or I'm kind of more indulging myself instead of being in more deep, meaningful relationships. And I want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship, and I want to live maybe a more deep, meaningful life. Shadowy Scorpio of the Five of Cups could be people that you are dealing with, but maybe they are more immature, bossy, controlling, stubborn, materialistic, more about the world, value the things of the world more than love. They'd maybe like to stay in a relationship, but they're defensive to working through whatever it is within them of why they choose to make being in more deep, meaningful relationships more important than these things of the world. And, it can be just because, again, in general, the Five of Cups talks about I'm more focused on the relationships of my past that didn't work out. And those things influence me and impact me and manipulate me. And they basically haven't worked through those issues to come to a place of balance about it. The fact is, we've all dealt with people who were immature, bossy, controlling, hurtful, unkind, weren't on the same page at the same time as us. We had different dreams, relationships didn't work out. Well, do we work through it so we can come to a place of peace within ourselves? I accept that people were where they were at. Just like I've been more immature and whatever, other people have been too. And I just accept that we were all where we were at. And just like some people wanted me to move forward with them and, take certain jobs, be friends, date people, we just really, we're all drawn and attracted to certain people because of kind of lessons we need to learn that might be issues that we haven't quite worked through. And I think we'll be drawn and attracted to certain people because those people could have some, like subconsciously, we can be drawn and attracted to people because those people have certain ways about them that could kind of remind us of people that we've known in our life that maybe we didn't think those people were very just and fair. And we really had wanted those people to love us. So then we'll get in a relationship with someone who can remind us of, has some of those same traits and characteristics. And it's like trying to get the justice we deserve, to work through that inner conflict that we had, that someone else that kind of was like that was defensive to loving us. And it's kind of like an unresolved issue within us. And that's why I think we can be drawn and attracted to certain people. And another thing is, if we have lessons to learn about loving ourselves, standing up for ourselves, we'll probably be drawn and attracted to people who come into our life to try to, in a high vibe way or a shadowy way, get us to see how we do need to stand up for ourselves, and we do need to do this inner work, and we do need to get more balanced if we want things to be different. And so if everybody, everybody can be on their journey, people we know, people we don't know. There's some people in the world right now that have decided, I am not going to repeat this old pattern. I am ready to move forward in life differently. I'm going to hold myself accountable. If there's people in my life that think it's just and fair to be competitive and defensive, and they're trying to stop me from moving forward, I'm going to turn my back on them. If there's people in my world who think it'd be just and fair to kind of shadowy fire sign energy of the Five of Wands and the Nine of Wands that would like to maybe indulge in a relationship with me, they could think it's just and fair, but I think they're kind of immature or might want to be in a relationship with me just because something else isn't working out in their life. In ego, in competitive energy, in defensive energy. I've already been in a relationship with people like that. I don't want to be in a relationship with people like that again. So I will invest in putting in work and effort to maintain balance within myself, to stand up for myself and what I believe in, listening to my intuition, working through my past pain, heartbreak, fears, insecurities, whatever. And I believe that the divine has a plan for my life if I keep listening to my intuition instead of my fear, my insecurity, and my pride, my ego. And I keep maintaining balance within myself and being, in my foundation, inspired to let go of that old way of viewing life and living life and to stand up for what I believe in. And what I believe in is I want to work with other people who have done that work within themselves. And there can be people in my life that I am being a loving, nurturing, kind of stable, grounded, good boundary type person in relationship with them, whether they're children, friends, family, co-workers, that they're dealing with their own regret and sadness or whatever, right? And I'm trying to be a loving and encouraging person to them. But while I'm being a loving and encouraging person, if they kind of keep doing some more immature action, I'm going to call judgment on them. I'm not going to keep investing my time, energy, and effort. If they're not willing to do this work within themselves to work through it, and they just want someone, oh, well, you be a loving, nurturing, encouraging person to me, but I'm never going to do that work within myself to work through those issues. Like, you're supposed to play that role in my life. It's like, all I can do is providing loving, encouraging environment, but I'm going to keep moving on with my life. And if you kind of keep wanting to stay in this energy, I don't want to keep staying in that energy. I can be a loving and encouraging person with you, and I keep moving on with my life. The reason for the Fool card coming out is some people want to keep repeating this old pattern, and other people are ready to go on this new journey. And I'm going to move forward with you or without you, but I'm not going to keep investing more time, energy, and effort into people who don't want to do this work within themselves. I will love you from a distance. I will maybe not hang out with you as much if you keep kind of repeating some patterns that I think could be not conducive to a relationship moving forward. It kind of causes conflict and fighting in a relationship. I could find it kind of competitive or petty. I could find it hurtful and unkind. Eventually I kind of see who is willing, who has learned to have good boundaries within themselves and who hasn't. Who has grown up and emotionally matured themselves and treats people in a more just and fair way, and who doesn't. And then we can get in relationships with people and we can think, oh my gosh, I'm in a relationship with someone who's just like me. They're a loving, nurturing person also, and they encourage people to love and heal. And we can get in relationships with people like that. Some of you could be dealing with a Taurus or a Libra, or just dealing with people who, you know, come across as being motivated and inspired by love. But sometimes some people play that role in people's lives, but they have inner conflict about change. The fives can talk about change and they're defensive. The nines and the tens can be, I like playing that role in people's lives, but if they get to be where they're kind of not operating from this way of viewing the relationship and they're ready to kind of close out that cycle and move forward in life differently, oh, well, no, that's when I have inner conflict and I'm defensive because I like playing this role in people's lives. And I like people to view me that way, but I don't want to take a leap of faith to step out of my comfort zone and face my fears. I like to keep repeating this old pattern over and over. I'm defensive and have inner conflict about change. And that's when we can kind of have a problem in a relationship. And you could have played that role in people's lives. People could have played that role in your life. But when one person or some people are ready to kind of face their fears and move forward in life differently, that's when there can be conflict in a relationship because some people were happy doing it the way it was, and they'd maybe have to work through some of their fears about taking that leap of faith to kind of step into unknown territory where the only thing you do have to guide you because you haven't been there before, haven't lived your life like that way before. Like, same way if you were to go, say when you were young and you went to a different school, that can be really scary. When you're older and you move towns, that can be scary. And so some people like wanting to keep staying in their comfort zone, but it kind of, it kind of feels this inner conflict of defensiveness that I could see other people do that. And it could be like, high vibe Aries, and why am I not, and high vibe Leo, and Sagittarius, all three of the fire signs, why am I not more bold and brave and confident? Why do I get more manipulated by my fears and my insecurities? If I'm in a situation that I feel people aren't working with me cooperatively, we'd have to go on that new journey. It does cause us inner conflict, but are we going to keep defending what we've been doing and some of the people we've been hanging around, even though we could feel like it's manipulative or using the love that we have for them to manipulate us, or we think they don't really love us and it's more using their emotions manipulatively, shadowy fire sign energy, kind of more indulging themselves in the relationship. I would like this to work, but if it's not working out and we all get ready to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in, I am moving forward in life differently with or without you. If you want to keep repeating these ways of being or living your life this way, I don't. Do you want to move forward with me? But everybody has to quit repeating some poor past patterns. Everybody has to hold themselves accountable. Everybody has to do this work emotionally to be more just and fair and balanced in a relationship. And some people are like, I'm not doing that. I'm out of here. I don't want to be more just and fair. I don't want to emotionally grow or heal and mature myself. I don't want to have good boundaries within myself. I'm more competitive. I like being competitive. Makes me feel powerful. I like being in relationships with people who have inner conflict and are defensive and sad. Then I get to indulge myself in a relationship with them. I don't think they're going anywhere. They'll keep indulging me as long as I want them to keep indulging me. And people can put up with a lot of bullshit in workplaces, friendships, and relationships. And finally, some people work through their issues and they stand up for themselves. It's like, you know what? I'm going to let you do what you want to do, hang out with who you want to hang out with. I am letting go of aligning with this foundation. This does not inspire me. It is not aligned with my truth of what I think is just and fair. And I feel like I'm missing an opportunity to work together with people who are more emotionally mature, balanced, harness high vibe Taurus and Libra and Leo and Sagittarius and Aries and maybe some Capricorn and Scorpio and Pisces energy. I kind of think in a world of duality, with us having our dualistic nature, our more loving nature, our more shadowy nature, and then we have different people in our life who are more loving and encouraging of us, and other people who tempt us to be in our more codependent and immature and worldly and fearful energy. We have free will of who we're going to hang out with. And I think when people show us that, they're kind of more about creating a little more shadowy energy and like to be in a little more shadowy energy, that basically if somebody's kind of creating a little hell on earth, I think that's a sign that high vibe energy, because of the big picture duality is battling in the world, that high vibe energy is creating a more loving environment in the world. Are we willing to listen to our intuition, get out of our ego, stand up for what we believe in, and believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams, and take that leap of faith to go give birth to something new and free ourselves from things and people that we feel kind of try to manipulate us? So let's go look at the bottom row. We can all be tempted to repeat an old pattern because it's our comfort zone. I know how to work with these people. I've dealt with people like this before. I don't have to stand up for myself. I don't have to deal with my inner conflict. I don't have to grow and mature myself. I could just keep doing this. What is this? The Six of Wands, the Six of Swords, the Empress, the Eight of Swords, the Devil, the Two of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. So, the Devil, things that manipulate us, and people in our life, and negative people in the world, the Devil tries to stop high vibe energy and our own high vibe, hopeful, believing nature from picking up our investment in what's shadowy. The Two of Pentacles can be, I'm going to pick up my investment in this. I'm going to get balance within myself. And I'm going to be willing to be a student of life. Get out of my ego. Invest some time, energy, and effort to invest in myself and love my own hopeful, believing, loving nature. Again, to get balance within myself, to deal with my own inner conflict about standing up for myself. And our own shadow nature and other people in our life might not like that because they don't want to do that. I don't want to have to pick up my investment in certain ways of living my life or viewing life or in other people in my life. I don't want to be a student of life. I don't want to have to admit that maybe I have lessons to learn, that maybe I do think it's just unfair to be competitive or manipulative or defensive, and you're supposed to want to stay in a relationship with me anyway, or stay at this job anyway. And what does the Devil want us to keep staying in? By worldly standards, in the Six of Wands, things could look victorious and successful. Or, let's go take action more out of our ego. Let's take action to try to bring our dreams into reality, operating more from our ego and our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed. I'm sure it'll work out the way I want. And the Empress can be, instead of me learning to get more balance within myself and be like a good mother, father, coach voice within my own head, to get more balance within myself, I'm going to go find someone who seems to be a loving, nurturing person. That's the answer. I don't have to do that work within me. And that's being in more, that's what in shadow, the pages can be about being more codependent. I'm going to go find someone who's loving and nurturing and might seem like they look victorious and successful in the world, and they might seem just and fair and stable. Because I'm in a mental prison in the Eight of Swords, oh no, not Aquarius, Gemini. But the Eight of Swords comes after the Seven of Swords, which is kind of having mental conflict about believing in yourself, believing in your dreams, feeling stuck, having a hard time deciding which Libra can represent the Two of Swords. And typically this is kind of representing the Seven of Swords because this is the Eight of Swords. What is my truth? And then, well, I guess more so, the Empress kind of represents the Seven of Swords because this is the 6 and that's the 8. Do we work through our mental conflict about doing the work to get more balance within ourselves? The Empress energy, again, it's a feminine figure, so it talks about how we think and feel. And it's Libra and Taurus energy. Libra and Taurus energy. Taurus energy is about investing time, energy, and effort. Libra is about, represented by the scales of justice. What is our truth? I don't want to work through my mental conflict. I don't want to work through my fears, my insecurities. I don't want to have to work through my past pain and heartbreak. I don't want to have to learn to love myself. I'll just go get in a relationship with someone who seems loving. But the thing is, there can be other people in the world who try to present themselves as a more, successful, stable, grounded, loving person, so that other people, instead of doing that work within themselves, it's like, yes, you should come over and get in a relationship with me. And then the Eight of Swords can be, I live more from my mind than my heart too. I made a decision, just like you, that instead of doing this work within myself, I've decided to align with my more worldly, shadowy nature. I am operating more from my ego. I want to look like a shining star in the world. I might look victorious and successful in the world in some ways, or be charming or attractive, or have social clout or money or whatever. And yes, you should come get in a relationship with me. You should view me as a loving, nurturing, just, fair person. And they can act like a loving, nurturing, just, fair person in the relationship. And it can work out for a long time until you do that, some of that inner work within yourself. It's kind of, again, a codependent relationship is someone who kind of wants you to be in more codependent energy. Like, I will be the mother or the father or the teacher, and you be like the child who's more fearful, insecure, doesn't have as much money, status, power, hasn't learned some of the lessons I've learned, isn't as attractive as me, doesn't have the social clout I have, or whatever it is that they think they got, right? But if you do start to do this work, to work through your own fears and insecurities, and during the course of the relationship, you kind of free yourself from some of those things. And underneath the Fool card is the Three of Swords. And again, in the typical Seven of Swords, someone's holding on to the Five Swords, which is like Aquarius energy, the 5, the 6, and the 7. I have a dream. In the Seven of Swords, they're kind of struggling to listen to their intuition, which is Libra energy. Is this just and fair, or isn't this just and fair? Why would I be tempted to keep staying in this relationship? Well, I could love them, but I could have realized that maybe they have some inner conflict about change. And that's the thing. Sometimes some people, again, they like to play that role in people's life. I like to play the role of being a loving, nurturing person, and they can do that. But if, like, the student becomes the teacher, where then it's kind of where they have to deal with some issues within themselves, well, how dare you? I am defensive to that. Or how dare you? You were supposed to view me this certain way. You were supposed to be caught up in the illusion of who I was. In an extreme way, the big picture, shadowy energy is kind of represented by the devil. All these things that manipulate us within us and outside of us to stop us from having that more hopeful, believing nature to get the justice we deserve. Again, to have that hopeful, believing nature and the Page of Swords, to go on this adventure, that's high vibe Sagittarius, fire sign energy. I believe there's more to this world than all these things I can make my life about. And I want to invest in those things, and I want to grow and mature myself. And I don't want to keep being more lustful, greedy, prideful, immature. I have changed, and I have learned to stand up to my shadow nature and other people in my life who I think are kind of shadowy or immature or bossy or controlling or more driven by ego or image and might want to stay in a relationship and have me stay in a relationship or a job because it's good for their ego or their image or their stability or their security. But I don't really think it's love. And I want to invest in people in the King of Cups who want to do love. And as I have done that work within myself to work through my issues, I'm more aligned with my more loving, hopeful, believing nature. And I'm not as codependent on someone to play that role in my life. Do I want them to move forward with me? Yes. It's just kind of also a way you could relate to this. It's just like children can love their parents, but children fly the nest, right? And kind of to live their own life, and they have their own dreams and their aspirations. And if a parent is kind of being too controlling in the devil card, no, you're supposed to be more codependent on me. And sometimes people have friends and family members like, no, you're not supposed to go live your more authentic life. We don't live our more authentic life. We make our life about these things. I'm going to try to control and manipulate you. And then we can get in relationships with people who they have these things that manipulate them, and people in their life who manipulate them, and they have their way of viewing relationships and what they think is just and fair, and they don't want to move forward in life any differently. It can be more about conforming to the world. We should stay in a relationship. We both have we both have pain and heartbreak, or fear of love, or fear of listening to our intuition, or stepping out of our comfort zone. We should keep doing this. And then there's some people in the world that kind of played that role in your life, and they do want you to view them and be more codependent on them, like the devil wanting to play God in your life. I don't want you to listen to your natural state is to grow and heal and mature yourself. Shed old layers of yourself, close out old cycles of life to give birth to a new you. You did it age 15 going to 18, 18 going to 21, 21 going to 25. And I think we're meant to do that throughout our life. Learn lessons in life, face our fears about realizing I have inner conflict and I'm kind of defensive of repeating this old pattern. My intuition is calling me and telling me it's time to grow and look at life from a different perspective, and how I view myself and how I view the world, to shine my authentic light in the world. High vibe Aquarius energy. And again, some people play that role in your life, but then they want you to keep making your life where it's more about them being the center focus of your life, or not living your authentic life and making your life more about these things of the world, or your fear, or your codependency. So while they can seem to be on the same page as you, they juggle the truth because they're defensive of listening to their intuition and stepping out of their comfort zone. So they kind of maybe lack an interest in making their life about anything other than the primary objective being them or these things of the world, or ego or image or status. And other people, those things aren't as important to them. And sometimes we get in these more mismatched relationships. And some people where they are both fearful of new beginnings, both fearful of stepping out of their comfort zone, of standing up for themselves, letting love and intuition guide them because other relationships haven't worked out. Those people could be happy in relationships with other people who are on the same page as them. And that's just and fair. It's a balanced relationship. They both are kind of just like when we were 15, we lived like a 15-year-old, and people that were 18 and 21 and 25 could have thought we were toxic and immature. But that's how we viewed life, and that was our emotional maturity level. Was it in the devil card kind of immature and whatever? Yeah. Some people kind of keep staying in more immature ways of being. Other people move on. Other people don't. But when we become adults, we blend in with the rest of the world. There's all sorts of people we can hang out with. And we all have free will to hang out with and live our life whatever way we want. Some of the people that you could feel are kind of immature or self-indulgent or bossy or controlling or unjust or unfair or egotistical, those people in turn might view other people in their life that way. It's all kind of relative, but we're kind of looking for people who are more on the same page as us. At the same time, we're there, right? I just think that the natural flow is God wants people, high vibe energy represented by God, doesn't want people to keep stunting their growth, right? You have this potential within you, and if you keep not wanting to deal with some inner issues that kind of manipulate you, I think those things will get worse. Because we're either putting in work and effort to kind of roll the ball up the slight incline of life, or we kind of don't want to put in work and effort, but we want the reward without effort. And so I think some of the things that manipulate people, the devil talks about those things that kind of get a stranglehold on us. Oh, I'm sure the answer to my feeling better, I'm sad, I could do this work within myself, but no, I reject that. I'm going to go do this instead. And I think they're going to get themselves in some challenging situations, because if they do make those things more important in their life, more kind of hopeful, believing, loving, just, fair, balanced things will be less in their life, and it will become more imbalanced, more consumed by those things that they make so important. And then there could be other people who don't want to invest in them either. Just like how people can get caught up in like drugs or alcohol or self-centeredness or ego or immaturity or greed. It becomes such a driving factor in their life, and it starts to cloud their judgment more and more and more. But there's other people who see it, who move away. And then there's other people who is like, hey, I'm on the same boat as you. And, they kind of just don't, we have the potential to manifest our dreams into reality. But it does take work and effort. It does take getting out of your ego. It does take healing from past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs. But everybody has the free will to live their life whatever way they want. Different strokes for different folks. You know, other people look at different people and it's like, gee, I see those people kind of doing this. I see these people doing this. Some of the people are like, that looks like a lot of work and effort and I'd have to temper my ego. I'd have to have better boundaries. I think I'm going to do this. And then there's other people that are like, why do I keep doing this? I think I'm going to, you know, you're either being a good example in the world or kind of a poor example in the world. You know, high vibe energy is about being more independent of your shadow nature, less manipulated by other people in the world, feeling more stable and grounded and knowing your worth and value and loving and believing in yourself and treating other people the way you like to be treated. And shadowy people can be people who could, you know, is trying to maybe create the illusion that they're that type of person, but it can be trying to manipulate and control people for their own more selfish, self-interest reasons. But I want to be in a relationship, or I want a certain status or image, or I want someone to indulge me. I'm more about me. And, you know, everybody's got free will. Some people don't want to see the truth. And, you know, we can keep repeating a pattern over and over and over. And we all do repeat patterns over and over. But it will get worse if we don't. I think when we don't, our intuition was given to us as a gift. This is starting to cause you inner conflict and make you defensive, and people aren't working with you cooperatively. This is not a stable foundation. These people are not acting with character and integrity, being just and fair. They're being competitive, manipulative, hurtful, defensive, not maybe being more authentic. You can keep staying if you want, but it might get worse before it gets better. And that's kind of the thing. If we don't listen to our intuition, when our intuition is telling us it's time to move on, it'll kind of, there's something that kind of within ourself more so than anything kind of has a hold on us. And until we work through that, it'll probably manipulate us more and more. And sometimes we can be a very loving person and we keep indulging people in their poor behavior. And the more we indulge people in their poor behavior, the more spoiled they get and expect you to keep indulging them in their poor behavior. And then it can be harder and harder to kind of stand up for yourself. But anyway, what's coming up for people? Judgment goes in favor of people who are willing to deal with the truth and act with character and integrity. They will get justice because instead of trying to change others, they accepted the truth that everybody has free will. If they are not motivated and inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness, I'm not going to try to change you. I wish you peace. I'm going to change me. And I see that we operate from different foundations. Again, I wish you peace. Am I sad it didn't work out? Yes. But I'm going to see the truth, offer myself that cup of love to get more balance within myself. Adding a cup of love to the 5 of Cups gets you to the 6 of Cups, where you've kind of reconciled yourself with the past. And I wish them peace, and I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to stand up and defend what I believe in, which is deep, meaningful, emotionally mature, just, fair, inspiring relationships. And they can keep defending what they want to defend. What's coming up for people who harness, okay, a more high vibe Aquarius energy? The King of Wands. Why? Because of the 7 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles. As you keep being inspired to be in more deep, meaningful relationships, and that's what you're inspired by, and that's what you invest your time, energy, and effort into, you kind of see through the illusion of people that you thought were on that same page as you, but you could see that they are more emotionally caught up in themselves or the things of the world that they want to indulge in or make more important in their life. And you just don't see them as someone that you can have that deep, meaningful relationship with. I mean, some of the people like you could be, you know, not everybody is an awful person just because they don't want to be in a relationship with us. Just like everybody wants to be our friend or date us, we don't want to date. You know, there's high vibe people and more worldly, shadowy people in our life. And we just accept the truth of it. I get out of my ego, the Five of Wands, that not everybody is on the same page as me, motivated and inspired by the same things. Can you both be high vibe people? And it even could just be differences of what we want to invest in that we think is just and fair. Well, you kind of like to make your life about those things and invest in those things, and I kind of like to do this and invest my things in this. And even the Queen of Pentacles, I view as Taurus energy. Sometimes it can be religious differences, social differences. I want to live in a big town, you want to live in a small town. We just kind of got to be on the same page at the same time. And sometimes some people aren't. It's like, I'm not going to stay in inner conflict and defensiveness about it. If people aren't working together with me, I just see the truth of it. We're not on the same page, and I am inspired, and I probably have done this inner work within myself. And the nines and the tens, when we complete the cycle, that's when we come out with the new wand. I am ready to move forward in life differently. I've done this work. I'm ready to have a new beginning. I am ready. I have worked through the regrets and the grief of the past and the illusions that I had about people. We can always hope. The Ten of Pentacles is Virgo energy. We could always hope people would do the inner work, which is what Virgo energy talks about, to work through their fears or insecurities or close out an old cycle, quit letting things manipulate them, detach, because high vibe energy. Here we have the Page of Pentacles. After the Ten of Pentacles, we've kind of learned everything we needed to learn from that phase of life or that stage of life. And then we move forward in life differently. Again, just like we did age 15 to age 18. But some people, they could have a friend group or their original family group, and they're unwilling to be more independent of those people, to go live their more authentic life. And we kind of see through it. I see that those people, some of those people can't be people they can even marry, or be in a romantic relationship. But those people could be the primary foundation in their life, even if they do get in a relationship and get married to other people. Well, if those people kind of have a problem with me moving forward with those people because they're kind of in their ego about those people, or they're afraid I'm changing, or I'm going to live the life of my dreams, and they don't like that maybe I'm growing and healing and maturing myself and living life differently. And if they don't live their life differently, they don't want me to live life differently. And then those people can, and other people in the world, and the whole thing is, it wouldn't manipulate them if there wasn't a part of them that kind of aligns with that philosophy of life also. Same way if people are more tempted by their lust or their greed or their pride or their ego. Nobody could tempt them to align with that more if there wasn't a part of them that kind of more aligns with that and does kind of think that's just and fair. And plus, if they were to move forward, they have to keep maintaining like balance within themselves and put in that work and effort to free themselves from things that manipulate them. And there can be people that it's like, shit, I could move forward with those people. And it would be great, and they're loving, and it would be just and fair, but then I've got to maintain balance within myself, and I kind of like to indulge myself more, and I don't think I should have to put in that work and effort. I think there's other people I think I can get in a relationship with, and that'll work out just fine. And what some of them don't see coming, again, is when we don't take action more in truth and love and justice and fairness and character and integrity and growing and healing and maturing ourselves, we're probably going to get ourselves in something that we wish we didn't. And then we'll really have a lot of inner conflict about standing up for what we believe in, because we kind of indulge our more codependent or worldly or immature nature, right? And eventually it gets other people that might be in relationships with people who do that. And even though they could have done it before, it's like, I'm done. I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. If you want to keep repeating it, I've seen through the illusion. You're not as insightful or mature or stable or grounded or inspired by love as I thought you were. And I am going to believe in myself and take the lessons that I've learned from this life experience to go on this new journey. And if maybe before I was more tempted in my own fire sign energy by the world and lust and greed and self-indulgence or whatever, I worked through those things, and I've learned to have better boundaries within myself, see how that kind of leads me down the wrong path, or it's not as emotionally fulfilling as I thought, and it is more superficial and shallow, and that's not what makes me happy. And again, it's all learning these lessons to, what are you going to stand up for? And I think as you're moving forward in that energy, there's going to be other people who will be attracted to being in relationship with you, because they've also been in relationship with people who are more worldly and shadowy. And, again, you have free will. Did you learn the lessons or didn't you? You're going to have more shadowy people attracted to you. I want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. And you're going to have more high vibe people that are attracted to you. And I think you will invest in people, maintain balance within yourself, not get too caught up in things, have good boundaries to stand up for what you believe in, because you don't want to repeat that old pattern. And to get to know people to find out kind of what foundation they operate from. Are they trying to get you caught up more in your lust and your greed and your pride and your ego, and caught up in the illusion of who they are, and that really isn't even the truth of who they are? And who seems to be more independent, more connected in with their emotions, their intuition, emotional maturity, inspired by love? And who are the people who just want to indulge themselves in a relationship for some other reason? So the Fool card is Aries, and I view the King of Wands as Aries energy also. So you're harnessing high vibe Aries. You might know some people in your life who harness a more shadowy Aries energy. Still kind of more about these other things. And it's like, do I want to be in a relationship? Yes. But I only want to be in an emotionally mature, just and fair and balanced relationship. The Devil card looks just like, in the typical tarot, it looks just like the Lover's card, except people have chains and shackles on them. It is more out of the fear and the insecurity and the codependency. I don't want that type of relationship. I've changed. I'm not the same person I was before. I have learned lessons. I am more inspired to believe in myself and stand up for what I believe in, because I've already done that and it didn't work out the way I wanted. I have to grow and heal and mature myself, and I only want to be in relationships with other people who've emotionally healed and grown and matured themselves. What's coming up for some of the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy that they might not see coming. The Five of Pentacles, the Emperor, the Strength card, and the Queen of Swords. And the reason that came out is because of the Five of Wands. So up here we have the Five of Wands. Well, some more worldly, shadowy people, again, they have inner conflict about the truth. And I view the Queen of Swords as Aquarius energy. They could have a problem at looking at life from a higher perspective because they're so caught up in, the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy, like the Queen of Pentacles. We can be in relationships. We have all these different zodiac signs. We have Taurus, Libra, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, Virgo, Pisces, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, Libra, Taurus, Gemini, Capricorn, all the earth signs, kind of all the air signs, Cancer energy. We all tap into the zodiac sign traits and characteristics, but some people in some areas have learned more lessons and are more stable or grounded or emotionally mature in those areas. Other people might be more emotionally mature in other areas. Some people disregard certain areas, like that's less important. And we're just looking for people who are kind of on the same page at the same time. And some people do look at life from a higher perspective. And we've all moved forward in things thinking a dreams are going to come into reality. We've all felt left out in the cold. We've all had inner conflict. We've all been in our ego and felt betrayed. The difference is the high vibe people are inspired by love and believing in their dreams to deal with the truth of the situation. Where did I need to heal and grow and mature myself? Where do I need to make better decisions in my life? Where do I need to temper my ego and my fears and my insecurities and my competitive nature and my lack mentality and my codependent nature and my defensive nature? And do I see the truth that some other people in my life might benefit from doing some of that work also? But the only person I can change is me. So the high vibe people do this work within themselves. And they try to inspire other people, being like a good example and being authentic and loving and encouraging to other people. And when they see that other people keep being in shadowy Aquarius energy, defensive to change, they kind of get out of their ego about it and deal with the truth of it. People are either inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness and growing and healing and maturing themselves, or they're not. And some of them could think, you can go, you've changed. I am more about me, or I am more about the world. I am more bossy and controlling and manipulative and more about myself, or in my ego and more about the world. And if you look at life differently, some of them, they can't even relate. I think you live in fantasy land. Life's about the world, and it's about the status and the ego and the image, and I have those things. You should want to indulge me in a relationship. And because they're like that, they're going to have some high vibe people in their life who distance themselves because they harness their Aquarius energy differently. Some are egotistical, self-centered. Some of them are just more caught up in the world, have other people in their life that they don't dare stand up to, that they let boss and control them. It's like, well, enjoy your life. And the high vibe people are like, I've changed. I'm moving on. I'm going to go find people who don't have as much inner conflict about maybe even willing to see that other people have their own dreams and aspirations, because some people are like, well, that's not how I view life. You're supposed to want to make your life all about me. And let me be immature or bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical. And it's like, I'm going to let someone else enjoy life with you. And they didn't see that coming because they could have been moving forward and they could have gotten in relationships with people when they both kind of had felt betrayed or had lessons to learn and were both maybe more caught up in the world. And, but then over time, one of them kind of could have changed and one of them didn't. And then they just weren't on the same page anymore. And the shadowy people could have a lot of inner conflict. And just like the high vibe people in their life went through a period of feeling left out in the cold and inner conflict, it's just that the high vibe people didn't stay feeling betrayed by people in their life. They offered love to it, to work through it, to let it go. And some people, because other people in their life did make them feel betrayed, or they were unjust or unfair or unloving, they're just defensive to love. And they have all this inner conflict and this lack mentality, but they keep deciding to act more from their defensive, egoic nature. Nope, not going to do love. Nope, I'm going to make it more about me. I'm not going to get hurt again. It's like, okay. No, the people who they might end up, who keep ending up staying in a relationship with them, might be other people who feel betrayed, who are defensive to love. But we should move forward in a relationship together because we both have inner conflict about it. And if we were to be in a relationship, we'd look like, we've moved on, we've healed, we look victorious and successful by worldly standards. It's just that we're maybe in our ego about other people who didn't give up on their dreams. And those people are moving forward, feeling more stable and grounded and hopeful and believing in themselves and being in workplaces, friendships, and relationships with people who are more loving and encouraging like them because they're not competitive and manipulative and defensive and prideful and egotistical. And then they can have inner conflict about why things work out for those people. It's because they're unwilling to see the truth. That maybe you're competitive. Maybe you're bossy. Maybe you're kind of full of yourself. And you keep thinking people should want to keep indulging you. Grow up. So anyway, there you go, Aquarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.